Leaders and healers, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen from around the universe, from around the globe, from around the community, welcome to the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, life coach, author, trainer, musician, singer, songwriter, friend to you, member of this beautiful planet, podcast host, ready to give you everything I've learned, everything I've earned, and I'm going to return it to you in love and compassion and care for you, because that's what it's all about. And I've basically spent the past couple decades thrusting myself into the self-help world, spiritual fitness, emotional fitness, mental fitness, physical fitness, all these things that make upgrading our lives so much more fulfilling and joyful. And that's what I want to share with you. That's why I'm doing this podcast. And this is all about claiming your power, clarifying your purpose, and cultivating your deepest, widest, and highest passions possible. So ultimately, you can show up as a better, best, more upgraded, advanced, enhanced version of yourself. And then the next level of that is then to share your next best level version of yourself, constantly upgrading, constantly growing, so ultimately you can, because you've grown, you have more to give, you can live more, you can breathe more into other people. You can turn just inspiration, which is basically an internal idea, to conspiration, which is more than to breathe together, because we're on this planet together. Every time we breathe, we're breathing in the same atoms, we're breathing in the same air, so we're here to share this world with 7.5 other billion people, as well as the animals, the insects, the plants, everything around us has some sort of feel and aliveness to it. So thank you for joining us. And whether you're listening to this on actively right now live on Instagram or Facebook, or on one of our platforms, Google platforms or iTunes or whatever it is, or Apple Podcasts or whatever the other platforms you're listening to, I honor you for doing this and taking the time out of your day to listen to something powerful and positive, because that's how I started my journey in listening and reading and attending seminars and hanging on different people. So it is an absolute honor. So today's podcast, before I start, I want to introduce Cameron. He's my power partner in crime and in rhyme. What's up there, Cameron? How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Sorry, my mic was muted for a sec.
Queen Bee's on, man, on Instagram. Look, she's a regular on this show. I love it.
Even after the pause we had, even after
over the summer,
few weeks of inconsistent.
That's commitment, girl. That is commitment.
I'm doing very well. You always ask me how you're doing. It's pretty much the same answer every time. Like, I'm doing good. There's ups, there's downs, there's learning, there's lessons along the way. Mm-hmm. There is feelings of joy, and yes. But then there's also these moments where you feel stuck or bored or whatever, But I'm feeling, honestly, overall, I remain content, satisfied through it all.
Awesome.
No matter where I am.
Love it, dude. I love it. And I love the fact that we're on this journey together. And I love the fact that you're helping me share my message and my passion. This particular podcast episode, Cameron, is about holding nothing back. This particular one. I've been reading a lot about how people went from zero to hero, not in a quick second, but had this moment, this quantum moment, this moment of awakening where they said, I'm no longer going to play half-ass. I'm going full on. I'm going to hold nothing back. I'm going to sing to the heavens hear me. I'm going to write that book. I'm going to do everything I can, because we only have so many seconds, so many BTUs of energy that we've been given on this planet. We don't know our ending. I mean, again, I could be dead by tomorrow. But if you were to ask me, Anthony, at the end of my life, would you be pretty satisfied with your life? And I without even hesitation, I wouldn't even think about it. I would say yes. Because I feel like I'm singing my song. I feel like I'm writing what my heart's telling me to write. I feel like I'm going to the places that my spirit, that God's telling me to go to. I feel like God put us together too, Cameron, and as well as the people listening to the show, that they're listening for a reason. And I'm here to hold nothing back, to give everything, my soul, my heart, my power to the people, so I can enliven them, I can inspire them, educate them, enrich their lives. And so they then can take that energy and then take it into whatever their destiny, whatever vehicle they're using to transform their own life and the lives of the people around them. That's what it's all about. I'm not going to hold anything back. And that's what this particular episode is all about. What do you think about that before I even go on to the actual content? About holding nothing back.
That's like, you're speaking my language, Anthony. Like, I don't know what it is, but we all get this, where you have like this aha moment where you're stepping back, you're seeing the bigger picture of your life. Not that you're dwelling on death all the time, or like, that one of those people who are like, everybody's gonna die, time's ticking, But I think it's very, very important to, I don't know, like, like you said, hold nothing back. And sometimes holding things back is just being you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah,
think
you got it.
to eliminate the distractions and like
Yeah.
just do what feels good, what excites you, what's passion, for sure, for sure.
yeah.
And the reason I said is speaking my language has been like my thing since I got in that car accident
Yeah.
almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it was at a time where I was really, really excited about my passion,
Yeah.
but I was still holding back. And
Yeah.
I got in a car accident, and it was like the world pushing me and saying, like, don't hold anything back.
Yeah.
We spared you this time. But,
Yes. Yeah. You're
you
like
know,
cats, 9 lives, right?
yeah. So
You got it.
yeah,
man.
like it's definitely something that I try my best to live by, but we all get caught.
We all get caught up, and that's why as much as this is a reminder for you and you're listening and you're partnering with me on this path, I'm listening too. Because when I speak this and it's out in the public and it's out in the radio waves and it's out in the internet, it's there permanently now. Now I'm gonna have it provides an extra incentive and that extra push and leverage for me to actually continue not holding back and to actually live and breathe that wisdom. Because that's I do my very best. And again, we all have days, we all have moments, we all have times when we're exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, where our bodies and our minds are telling us no. It's actually not a sign to hold back. It's actually a sign for you to kind of rest so you can actually recharge this battery of your body, your mind, your spirit, and then go back to full peak performance. And I know I've talked about this before about getting the proper amounts of rest. And if you reach that point where you're overtired or overexhausted, listen to the subtle signs that your body's telling you. And oftentimes if you push your body too much or you push your mind too much, you're going to be working at half efficiency and effectiveness, and then you're gonna get frustrated and you might even feel like quitting. And I certainly have had many times like that. So listen to your body, get attuned to your body. Right?
Like you said, peak performance. Almost like you need peak awareness as well.
Peak,
you know,
very good.
Because like you're not always gonna perform at the peak.
At peak,
but like you should always be at yourself and your surroundings. What's important to you every moment.
Well said. Well said. Well said. I second that, brother. And if you want to talk about peak rest, peak health, peak spirituality, which means rest and just being in the moment, that can be met with its peak as well. And what I want to say to you, I want to kind of begin this sort of journey of hold nothing back by a quote by Saint Francis of Assisi, who is probably one of my favorite saints in the Catholic Church anyway. You know what? He was if you ever study Saint Francis, the guy was just he probably out of all the saints in the Christian religion probably was the closest to following Jesus more so than anybody, the saints that are out there. I mean, I'm an amateur on the saints and Christian mysticism and mythology, but I can tell you from what I know of him, he's one of the most popular saints out there because he lived and breathed it. He really did. And one of the things he said was, and I want to pull it up here. He says, "Hold back nothing of yourselves for yourselves, so that he who gives himself totally to you may receive you totally." Oh, it's so good.
Can you like paraphrase that? I heard it and it was great, but
Yes, I'm gonna repeat it, and like it's so good. Hold back nothing of yourselves for yourself. So don't anything that you've been given, basically, don't just do it for you. Like, hold nothing back of yourselves for yourselves, so that he who gives himself totally to you, God, may receive you totally. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
That is unbelievable. Like, maybe one more time, because it's so good. Like, I could literally meditate on that. Hold back nothing of yourselves for yourselves. In other words, don't be selfish with your gifts and everything you've been. Queen said it. Be authentic and express authentically. Hold back nothing of yourselves for yourselves and not be selfish, so that he, God, who gives himself totally to you, gives himself, herself totally to you, may receive you totally. So as you give yourself totally, holding nothing back to the world around you, guess what you'll get in return? The very love, the very breath of God breathes you in to the divine, and then it's just returned back to you. That's what the divine energy does. It gives infinitely, overflowing in one direction to you in your life. That's what love does. That's what unconditional spiritual divine does. It just keeps on giving without even thought of return. If you could imagine, you could be a mirror of that love, mirror of that talent, mirror of that power, and then share it with your neighbors, share it with your friends, holding nothing back of yourselves for yourselves. I literally was so touched by that quote. I was like, I literally had to read it like 50 times, just studying each word as I'm listening. It gives me goosebumps still. Just listen. What do you think, Cam? Like when you listen to that, what's your first thought when you hear a quote like that?
It's almost like I'm speechless in a sense, but
yeah,
like I think that is why we're here. And I was reading Anita Moorjani's book, who had like that near-death experience, and that's like the one
amazing
thing she took back was to be absolutely authentic regardless of what anybody thinks. And just by doing that, that is the greatest gift you can do, or it's the greatest gift you can give to anybody, is loving yourself and recognizing your own magnificence and living by that. Because honestly, like to me, why do kids make me happy? They're not like pleasing me all the time, you know. They're not like giving me things or like, you know what I mean. But hanging out with a kid, they're just happy and they love themselves and they're pumped, and that's why, that's why children make people smile, you know.
Yes. Yeah, and that reminds me of that quote by it's an English proverb that says, "The soul is healed when you're with children." And man, and so when Jesus said, children, the people who are like children will enter the kingdom of God. And I think what you described, that's exactly it. Children are love and presence and joy and laughter. They could just, and I see this with my children, Cam. They'll get in a fight, and literally two minutes later, they'll be best friends. How many times? No, literally, I'm not even kidding. I'm overjoyed, and I'm like, wow. Us as adults, we're so up here, and we close our hearts off. Whereas children, the opposite. They close their minds off and open up their heart and their soul. They live completely naked and free. And I think that's what Jesus meant. And one of the things I learned was I recognized that what he really meant by that, and I studied that, what Jesus said about that. And I'm like, wow, what does he really mean by that? And I was contemplating, and it's like adults, they hold on to stress and grudges for years, and maybe even they go to their deathbed because someone didn't say I love you the right way, or someone told them that they were fat. And it's like, really? You're going to let someone else's opinion of you become your reality? It's just so, it doesn't, I'm not saying words don't hurt, but what I am saying, the words that are important that you hear are the words that are coming from your soul, the words that are coming from your spirit that's saying, hold nothing back. Go live this life. I've given you this gift of life. Go live it. Go share it. Go experience it. Give of yourself totally, freely, authentically. And I get so juiced about that because I realize that, and as I talk about this, I realize where in my life have I been holding back? Maybe in my relationship with my children, maybe in my relationship with my wife. Maybe I can take that to the next level and hold nothing back in terms of really connecting with my wife at the deepest level. And I'll share that totally freely with the public. Maybe I haven't. Because when I get so focused on podcasts, on speaking, and all these other things, sometimes, my time is, I get exhausted and I don't put the time in to actually take care of my family and my children. And I have to say, if there's one thing you can get from this particular episode of Holding Nothing Back, is notice the natural resistance when you hear hold nothing back. Notice natural resistance inside you that goes, oh, but what if someone judges me, right? What if I fail? What if I lose this? But the Spirit does not operate from limitations. The Spirit operates from limitless, eternal abundance. It cannot recognize limitations. So as the moment you actually recognize your limitations, the Spirit, you basically cut off all of it. Cut off the Spirit even talking to you. You can't even receive it. And so notice the resistance, and then put your attention, your subjective attention back onto what is possible. What can I do to be an instrument of love for this world in everything I do, in everything I say, in every work that I'm involved in? and literally ignite that part of your soul. Meditation will help you do that. I know Cameron is a big proponent of meditation, affirmations, incantations, exercises, yoga, whatever it takes, so you could be an instrument of that spiritual divinity, that limitless power that we all have access to. All of us. Faith and trust. That's it, girl, queen. Thank you for saying that. And she had this comment that said, but at some point you have to decide once and for all. Oops, sorry. Once and for all, you will live from fear or love. I think we've talked about that in the past. Are you going to focus on fear, or are you going to focus on love? That's exactly it. And so that is one of the components, that you've got to be a surrendered, still instrument, so that love can literally purify your intention, purify your mind, purify your heart, purify every aspect of your body, or your three bodies. We haven't talked about that yet. Your causal body, your subtle body. That's another story. But what I'm saying is, you be an instrument, you surrender to that love, that's tuning into it, the frequency, the vibration of eternal love. And that way you can fully be open and you can hold nothing back. What do you say there, Cam?
Oh, man. Again, speaking my language. Yeah, in my own personal life, when I let myself off the hook and I let others off the hook, just because I want to feel good, I don't want to hold on to anything. I want to shine rather than block that from happening, I feel this release. And when I mean let myself off the hook, you talk about, being on your deathbed with the words of others ringing in your ears still, all the things they said to you that hurt you or whatever. But I'd say a lot of the times it's also people hating themselves for things that they did that they regret or whatever. And I've been there. Definitely not on the scale of a lifetime thing, thankfully.
Yeah.
But when you let yourself off the hook and you just realize that you're not perfect, but in a sense you are perfect, and that's just part of your perfection. And you wouldn't want to be a flawless individual anyways. Art in and of itself is flawed, and that's what makes it amazing. It has empty spaces. It's not perfect.
It's not supposed to.
It's not supposed to be.
And I remember even Deepak Chopra alluded to that, and I appreciate you saying that, because he even said, even if your life was perfect and you had no flaws and you knew absolutely everything you needed to know, there'd be no reason to be here. You would just go right to the heavens, where, if that's even a geographical position in the planet, which it's not. It's a state of consciousness, as Anita Morjani says, and that's absolutely true. And I have to say that part of the perfection is in the imperfections of life. Where in nature is there a perfect straight line? Right? There's no perfect straight line. And I'm looking at the trees right now and the grass and, the horizon and all the beauty in nature. There's not a straight line, but we get to be beneficiaries of that quote unquote perfection in the imperfection. And that's exactly what it is. It's this sort of they call chaos theory, or there is what's the word I'm looking for? There is order in chaos, and that's part of the perfection. And so I think by holding nothing back, being an instrument so that you could be the greatest instrument, vessel of love for the people around you, I think that alone will guide you to hold nothing back. But if you are, as Queen said on Instagram, she talks about how, hey, you know what? If you are if you're allowing fear to dictate you and you're focused on fear, then you can't. It literally shuts off everything. The spirit does not recognize that. So, man, what a great reflection on holding nothing back. I think a lot of people will, if you ever get in a stuck state or you're in a period where you're like, man, I'm not going anywhere, listen to an episode like this. I'll have to listen to this again. Sometimes I'll go back to some of the podcast episodes and I'll listen to them like, wow, that sounded pretty good. Where'd that come from, right? So, and this is exactly it. I'm holding nothing back and I'm allowing spirit to flow through me. I don't even know the next words that are coming out. I'm allowing the fullness and the emptiness of the divine to speak through me. And I want to live that way. I literally want to live that way. I don't want to just live half half-ass. I want to go full tilt at it, holding nothing back, and then leaving this physical planet completely empty. That's it. That would be the most. And I know I've quoted this before about one person said, my favorite quote was, when I reach my final destination in front of the divine, whoever he or she is, I want to be able to look at the face of the divine and look at them and say, I have no purpose. I have no gifts or talents left. I use them all. And I use them in honor of love and giving them all away. And I as I end this particular podcast episode, I want to kind of reflect on a story that I just recently heard in an audio program where this guy, he was helping an elderly person into their bathtub, and they were, a PSW, and they were helping this elderly person, and the person was very frail, and she had this moment, very spiritual woman who was telling the story. And she said, there was a moment where I looked at the elderly person who needed my help, who was at the basically naked on the bathtub so she could wash him and take care of him. She looked at him and had this moment. She looked at him and she thought to herself, this person is Christ. This person is love. And she saw the mirror image of God right in his face. And she said, if this was Jesus, if this was Christ himself, how would I treat this human being? And it changed her life because she was able to see love in the reflection of that person that was needing help. And if you can see God and love everywhere in the trees and the blades of grass and the sun, and even those moments where it's hard to see through the hate and the pain and the evils of the world, think about what Mother Teresa said. She said, every day I see Jesus Christ in all of his distressing disguises. Every day. See love, be love, own love. You're it. You're it. You're it. So hold nothing back, guys. Thank you for joining us on this podcast. Any last words there, Cam?
Amen.
Amen, brother. Oh, yeah. Preach it, brother. Preach it. So thank you for joining us on this podcast. Whether you're on this journey with us passively, we honor if you're joining us on this live, and we'd love to hear from you. So hook us up. Send a message, send a question, send an answer, send a comment, whatever it is. We'd love to hear from you on iTunes, and it would be great if you could kind of make a comment on not iTunes, Apple Podcast, and make a review. Give us a 5-star rating. If you really believe it's a 5-star, give us an authentic 5-star rating, and then maybe make a comment because it helps us climb that ladder and then spread the message even more. So thank you for joining us. God bless you guys to your continued upgrade and evolution. Live it up with power, purpose, and passion. God bless.